Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to shout. I just want to explain to you slowly by slowly so that you understand what I'm talking about. As it stands, the truth of the matter, whether Rigati likes it or not, whether Ichungwa likes it or not, whether the entire Kenya Kwanza likes it or not, the state we are in this country, there is nowhere our economy is moving to. That is a fact. You can go and ask any economist. It can tell you where we are as at now, as of today. The standoff between Ruto and Raila Odinga, there is nowhere the Kenya's economy is moving to positively. In any country, especially in Kenya, whereby the government largely depends on the daily revenue collection to run majority of its daily operations. Because we know Kenya depends tax from KRA to run its daily operations. When these daily operations are halted, the government is crippled. Point number 2 from my earlier point is, as we speak right now, the Kenya's revenue collection has been crippled. And the opposition's weapon is to completely cripple government operations. How does this happen? When you cripple revenue, you entirely cripple service delivery. Because the government depends on this daily revenue to run majority of its daily activities. Once you cut the daily cash flow from the people to government, you literally kill the government. This is the strategy Azimio has been using in protests. When Raila calls for maandamano, majority of businesses are shut down. When businesses are shut down, there is no cash flow from the people to the government. When there is no cash flow from the people to the government cannot run. Part of the veins in the government, this heartbeat, they stop working. Up to that point, I hope we are together. Now, the opposition's success is by destabilizing the economy. Once the economy has been destabilized completely, the president is painted a failure, not only in his own country, but by other international countries. Remember, in Kenya, it's not only Kenyans who are running businesses in Kenya. We have other countries running business with government. When a country shakes, it shakes investors. Once investors shake, they make losses. Once investors make losses, they find an alternative. This alternative is by shifting services to other countries. An example: if Kenya continues to demonstrate, there are some planes that cannot land in Kenya. If Kenya continues to demonstrate, demonstrate, there are some ships that cannot dock in Mombasa. When Kenya demonstrates, there are some countries that cannot pick their cargo through Kenya. Why? The environment is unfavorable. Sijui kama unanielewa. I decided today nikupeleke katika class ya economy, hata kama sijasoma mambo ya economy, but I want to open your mind. I want to show you a broader picture why finally Ruto will calm down completely, ignore Gashawa, ignore Ichungwa, ignore other people, go and talk to Raila Odinga. That is, I want to show you the reason why that is bound to happen. So, at the end of my video, I want you to see reason why Ruto is set to abandon everybody in his circle and make a bold, daring decision to go and meet Raila Odinga in his comfort zone. Right now, it's Ruto who needs Raila. And it's not Raila who needs Ruto. I want to give you a reason why. Ruto is newly elected. And it's upon the president to stabilize the country. It's upon the president to convince investors that Kenya is safe for investment. It's upon the president to convince the international bodies that yes, we can do business together because our economy is stable. That has not happened in William Ruto's tenure. Why? Rigathi said, when Raila demonstrates just a day, they lose 20 billion shillings. Sakaja said, when Raila demonstrates in a single day, they lose billions of shillings in Nairobi. So that is government. That aside, Raila is happy when revenue is lost. Raila is a winner when revenue is not coming to government. So Raila is comfortable to continue demonstrating so that government loses. Now, at this point, it's up to the president to move out of his sovereign comfort zone because pesa haikuji, there is no cash flow. When there's no cash flow, Azimio is happy on this side as Kenya Kwanza is struggling. As Kenya Kwanza gets grounded. So, it's entirely upon Kenya Kwanza to wake up from its comfort zone because these ones are already happy. Azimio is already happy. It's their happiness. It's their win when the government loses. So, Azimio is comfortable. Iko sawa, pande yao. That is a win to them. It's a plus to them. But then on this side, Ruto is losing. It's a bad picture to them. When they are losing, it's upon them to make a bold decision to come and negotiate with this one so that wawachilie maandamano ndio pesa ianza kuflow kwa serikali. So you see what I'm telling you? Finally, it's William Ruto who is going to look for Raila Odinga. Now, to put or to stamp authority on my arguments, I want to take you back to what David Ndii said today on Saturday. If you think I'm lying to you, let me take you to what David Ndii said. And when I say David Ndii, you know who David Ndii is. David Ndii is the economic advisor of William Samoei Ruto. The only person Ruto takes instructions from. The only person in this country that the president takes economic advice from is David Ndii. David Ndii akienda sahi ambie Ruto, the only way to salvage your economy is by going and look for Raila Odinga. Hiyo ndio sababu tu peke yake. So this is what David Ndii is saying. There's one person who tweeted called Francis Hunt. He tweeted and said, he's telling David Ndii, retrench the 50 CS, not needed. These are gifts to political supporters. Ruto's does not need them for re-election. There are only 50 votes. Mudavadi's wife does not need an office. That can be done by line ministries. Austerity savings does not mean expanding government. Now, in response to this tweet, this is what David Ndii is saying. I have news for you. The first obligation of a government is survival and political stability. What I've just been explaining to you. The president wins when the country is stable. And the country will only be stable when those in government are at peace with those who lost or whose elections were stolen. Like now there's Mio whose elections were stolen. Kenya can only be stable when the president has made efforts to unite these people. Because there is no way you can ignore Raila in this country. These are hard facts, but we need to swallow them. Both Azimio and Kenya Kwanza. These are facts. And keep this video for future reference, because this is called a foundational video in what is going to happen in a few months to come. We shall be referring to this particular video. Now, David Ndii is saying, the first obligation, yani, wacha niweke kirahisi hivi kwamba furaha ya kwanza ya kiserikali ni wakati the country is stable. That is the first win. Once you become the president, your first agenda is to unite the country and stabilize the nation first before you run to anything else. Why? That is the foundation of everything. Now, David Ndii is saying the first obligation of a government is survival and political stability. So as we speak, Kenya has not attained political stability. As we speak, the government's means of survival are becoming very, very hard for Kenya Kwanza government. Ndio maana mnaona watu wanazidi kukonda. David Ndii says this: the more the dynasties foment destabilization, the more we will have to spend on political capital. Sijui kama kuna mtu anaelewa David Ndii. I don't know if there is someone somewhere seated internalizing, conceptualizing this post. Yani, Ndii is an economic advisor to the president, and this is what he's saying. Anasema, if dynasties can decide to destabilize this country, what Raila is doing. If dynasties gather together and decide to destabilize this country, the government will spend more in politics than in development. Kununua matiakas, kuweka magari za canisters mafuta, kulipa sijui nini, kununua marisasi. They will spend more. Now, David Ndii is advising this. If push comes to shove, a handshake is always an option. Unanipata? David Ndii anasema, if push comes to shove, handshake is always an option. So, David Ndii is coming back to what I've been telling you all along. Azimio nisikilize. As much as we are pushing for opening of the server, that is not the solution to William Ruto. Why? Tayari amekata hafungui. The only option left for William Ruto. Nisikilize Azimio. I know this is bitter to you. Hii ni uchungu nyinyi kusikia, but I have to tell you because after all that's my work. Listen. Vile nimekuwa nikiwaambia, the only option left for Kenya Kwanza is to stand up from where they are. Waweke gari mafuta, waanze safari. They go to Raila Odinga and tell him, mzee, tusalimie tafadhali. That's the only option left. Hakuna njia ingine for William Ruto to rule this country. That is the only option left. Raila amekata, ataki handshake, but that is the only option left. Hakuna njia ingine. Hakuna. Kaka, nilisema, David Ndii amesema, wewe ni nani ukatae? Na niliwaambia, the people pushing for this handshake, in my yesterday video niliwaambia, the people pushing for this handshake is the Kenya Kwanza and not Azimio. Yani Kenya Kwanza wanatamani tu Raila wasalimie. Yani wanatamani. Unaona msichana mrembo, unashindwa kumuongelesha, na unatamani tu siku moja akuangalia, hata kukuangalia. That's what Azimio is doing. That's what Kenya Kwanza is doing. Yani wanatamani tu siku moja, yani Raila tu siku moja, Raila tu aseme anataka handshake, and they will without a blink accept to it. So David Ndii is in agreement with my earlier analysis in my previous videos that for Kenya to be stable, for William Ruto to rule, the only option left, aweke gari mafuta, aende paka kwa Raila, amwambie mzee nisamee, shika mkono. That is the only way. And keep this video for future. Mimi nakwambia finally, mwishowe, finally, William Ruto watafanya kazi na Raila Odinga. There's no option. And the casualty in all this, Rigathi Gachagua atalilia chooni. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. See you in the next video.